Good afternoon. Well, coalition leaders are meeting the Minister for Agriculture today to try to hammer out an agreement over emissions cuts for the farming sector. Well, the talks remain deadlocked over what percentage the agriculture sector will have to cut its emissions by before the end of the decade. Farming groups have accepted a 22% cut to greenhouse gas emissions, but climate experts say the cuts will need to be higher so Ireland can reach its legally binding targets. Let's go now to our news correspondent Zara King for more on this. And really, Zara, the same message again today to farmers. There is no wriggle room when it comes to emissions cuts targets.
Yes, Colette, well, we were speaking with Oisin Coughlin from Friends of the Earth this morning, and he's saying that, look, everybody has to play their part. He points to the fact that we're already on the back foot when it comes to all of this. He says we have 8 years to reduce those emissions by 51%. He says to get to that point, everyone needs to do their absolute best. Let's take a listen to what he said this morning.
Well, look, our overall target is to reduce our emissions by half by 2030. That's really challenging. And every other sector, apart from agriculture, has agreed to do the highest bit of the range they were given. And agriculture is saying they won't go beyond 22%, where everyone else is doing at least 60%, and agriculture wants everyone else to do 68%. It begins to become implausible at that level. We need a range that means that every target will be a stretch for everybody, but that they're plausible overall. The exact number, we'll leave that to the experts in the two departments to figure out.
Well, Colette, as you mentioned there, pressure now mounting in particular on agriculture. I'm joined now by Tim Cullinan, who is the president of the Irish Farmers Association. Tim, Friends of the Earth, they're saying this morning you've got to do the 30%. It has to be done if we're to reach these targets by 2030.
No, look, I don't accept this at all. You know, and farmers have been doing quite a lot already, have adopted a lot of new measures. You know, and if in the event we were to go for 30%, it would be almost a wipe out of the sector, not just for farming, but rural Ireland and the social aspect of rural Ireland as well. And I suppose Minister Ryan now is asking farmers that they would adopt further new measures in anaerobic digestion and solar systems, and that is fine. But what's happening here is, you know, any reduction in emissions that is obtained from those measures are not being accounted in the farming sector at the moment, and we can do more, and we can help in reducing emissions from the energy sector. And I think this is very, very important. You know, people have been saying for quite a while that farmers can be part of the solution. We are part of the solution and will be part of the solution, but it's very important if we're going to adopt those measures into the future. Obviously there's going to be a cost in this, and the government and the Minister has to come forward with a plan where there's going to be proper funding for those new initiatives, and farmers will willingly adopt those measures and help reduce not only the emissions from agriculture, but be part of reducing the emissions from the energy sector and transport sector as well.
Okay, but Tim, crucially was the numbers. It's the number really, isn't it? I mean, it's the gap between 22% and 30%. How close to 30 is a realistic target?
Well, if we are, what we are doing is going to help to reduce emissions overall. What we're striving to achieve here is a 51% reduction, and we have to look at this in the round. And if farmers are going to adopt new measures, which is going to help in reducing that 51%, well then there needs to be time around this, time to adopt those new measures, and to ensure that the government and the Minister puts the proper funding in place to ensure that this can happen. And we can be part of producing more energy. As we know, there's a huge concern around the supply of energy for this country in the coming winter, and the Minister needs to get real here. And if he wants to ensure that he can keep the lights on in this country for next winter, well then he needs to sit down and work with our sector and work with all the sectors in the round and ensure we get a solution to this problem.
Okay, Tim Cullinan, IFA, thank you very much for joining us this lunchtime. Okay, Colette, so you're hearing there's still a very firm hand there from the agriculture sector in terms of manoeuvring the Cabinet Subcommittee on Climate Change meeting this afternoon to thrash out this. Of course, it's not just agriculture that will be considered at this meeting, Colette. Helen McEntee, the Justice Minister, suggesting this morning that we could see the climate targets in that deal over the line by Wednesday.
All right, Sarah, thank you very much for that.